Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to dive into something that's been transformational in my own healing journey, and that's how to reclaim authentic connection in a world that pulls us away from our body's own wisdom. Have you ever noticed how hard it is to sit through a movie without checking your phone? Or felt joints ache after spending time with certain people? Maybe you've experienced that gut connection when someone crosses your boundaries, or realized even that you regularly skip meals despite being health conscious. And what about those gut feelings that everyone talks about, but few of us actually truly honor? These aren't random experiences. They're actually sophisticated communication systems trying to guide you back to authentic living. Today I want to share something personal with you, and that is after watching my mother carry anxiety like armor for decades and ultimately seeing how it manifested as cancer, I experienced my own health crisis that forced me to recognize how years of self-abandonment had actually literally rewired my nervous system. Today I'm sharing 5 powerful insights about reconnecting with your body's wisdom in our modern world. And these insights have completely transformed my relationship with technology, with other people, and most importantly, the relationship I have with myself. So, without further ado, let's dive in. So, back in the day, I couldn't sit through a movie without checking my phone. Conversations felt incomplete without sharing them instantly. Boredom became my new enemy instead of a gateway to creativity. When did I lose that ability to be fully present? After my health crisis revealed how much digital distraction masked deeper disconnection, I realized something profound. Our pre-digital selves had connection capabilities that we've actually forgotten exist. For me, growing up before social media addiction was even possible, I could sit with friends in comfortable silence, have an entire conversation without documentation, process experiences internally before sharing them. But the constant connectivity had fractured my ability for genuine presence. Think about life before smartphones, if you're old enough. Think about before they hijacked our attention. We could sit with discomfort without immediate distraction. Boredom actually led to creative insights rather than anxious strolling. Face-to-face was our primary social mode. Solitude meant reflection, not isolation, and presence wasn't something we had to practice. It was our default state. The digital attention hijacking is real. Research shows that the average person checks their phone every 12 minutes, and each session averages 35 minutes. That's nearly 4 hours of fragmented attention. Our dopamine systems, which evolved to reward us for finding food and connection, have been hijacked by notification systems designed by the smartest engineers on the planet. But here's the good news. Your pre-digital capacity for deep presence and connection, it actually still exists. It's like a muscle that can be atrophied but can be rebuilt with consistent practice. I started with what I call analog connection rituals. Handwritten letters of appreciation instead of quick texts. Device-free dinner conversations. Walking meetings without phones. Board games as presence practice, and cooking together without documentation of it. What transformed my relationship with technology was actually treating single tasking as a radical practice. In a world that celebrates multitasking, doing one thing at a time with full presence became my form of resistance. And I practice uncomfortable silence as a growth edge. I reframe boredom as creative fertilizer rather than emptiness to be filled. I designated specific device-free zones in my life. For me, that meant no phone in the bedroom, no screens during meals, and no technology for the first and last hour of my day. I built what I call attention resilience through reading physical books, having conversations without interruptions, and practicing mindful activities without documentation. The breakthrough came when I realized depth of connection is inversely related to device use. The more I put down my phone, the more I could truly see the people in front of me. The more I practiced being fully present with one task, the more satisfaction I derived from it. Your pre-digital self knew how to be fully present. That capacity is still within you, waiting to be reclaimed. So how does this affect the relationship and inflammation when our body absorbs emotional dynamics? Well, my joints used to ache worse after time with certain people. My stomach bloated immediately following emotionally charged conversations. My skin would break out before visits with family. My body was mapping my relationship patterns better than any therapy session ever could. And for me, after watching my mother's chronic anxiety manifest as cancer, I started paying attention to how unprocessed relationship dynamics were literally inflaming my body. Growing up myself as the family's emotional shock absorber, I'd learned to swallow my words, carry others' pain, and prioritize peace over truth. But my body was keeping the emotional accounting I refused to acknowledge. What I discovered completely transformed how I understood physical symptoms. Our bodies process what our minds dismiss when we can't or won't process relationship dynamics. Emotionally, our bodies take on that work, often through, you guessed it, through inflammation. Think about it. Have you ever noticed specific physical patterns around certain people or after particular types of interactions? Maybe joint pain after confrontations, digestive upset following arguments, skin breakouts around toxic people, fatigue after emotional labor, maybe physical tension from unspoken truths. Here's what happens physiologically. Unprocessed emotions trigger cortisol release. Chronic stress activates your immune response, and boundary violations create systemic inflammation. People-pleasing depletes your anti-inflammatory resources, and emotional suppression compounds physical symptoms. Different relationship dynamics create specific inflammatory patterns. Gut inflammation from swallowed words, joint inflammation from carrying burdens, skin inflammation from boundary violations, and respiratory inflammation from suppressed expression. The transformation for me happened when I started treating inflammation as a relationship data instead of just reaching for anti-inflammatories or pain relievers. I began asking which people consistently leave me exhausted, what conversations trigger joint pain, when does my digestion get disrupted. I developed integration practices like expressing emotions as they arise rather than storing them, setting micro boundaries daily instead of waiting for major violations, processing relationship conflicts vocally rather than internally, and releasing absorbed energies through movement. Your body absorbs what your heart can't process. The inflammation it creates is telling you a story about your relationships if you're willing to listen. Here's the thing. My body was screaming warnings I'd trained myself to ignore. Gut was tight with certain people, push through. Heart racing in specific situations, just rationalize it away. Throat closing when speaking, social polish over authenticity. After my breakdown forced me to rebuild from scratch, I realized these weren't anxiety symptoms at all. They were my nervous system's sophisticated protection trying to save me from relationships and situations that were literally harmful. Growing up in a chaotic household, I learned to override my body's warning signals to maintain peace. As an adult, I'd perfected the art of pushing through discomfort until my body stopped whispering and started screaming. What I discovered was that our nervous system communicates through 5 primary SOS signals. These are sophisticated boundary communications that deserve our respect and our attention. So signal 1, the gut contraction. That stomach tightening in toxic situations, it's not random. The nausea before boundary violations isn't weakness, it's your digestive upset around certain people. It isn't just anxiety. Your gut feeling is literally your nervous system's protection mechanism at work. Signal 2, the heart rate shift. Your rapid heartbeat and energetic danger isn't just anxiety. Heart palpitations around emotional vampires are data. Chest tightness with overwhelming people is information. Your heart rhythm changes to signal threat detection, just as it has for our ancestors for thousands of years. Signal 3, the skin response. That face flush when boundaries are breached, it actually is communication. Cold sweats in unsafe environments are intelligence. Skin breakouts around toxic dynamics and other people are data. Your skin, your largest organ, is constantly sensing and responding to your environment. Signal 4, throat constriction. That choking sensation when truth goes unexpressed, it's actually wisdom. Difficulty swallowing during conflict is information. And voice loss around dominant personalities is your body protecting you. Your throat physically responds to authenticity barriers because speaking truth is essential to your well-being. And signal 5, the energy drain. Sudden fatigue around certain people, it's not laziness. Exhaustion after specific interactions, it's not weakness. The need to nap after draining conversations is not random. Your energy levels are one of your most accurate boundary indicators. And the breakthrough came when I started treating these signals as intelligent data instead of obstacles to overcome. I developed a simple practice. Pause and acknowledge the signal, name the body sensation without judgment, identify the relationship trigger, and honor the protection instinct, and act on my nervous system's wisdom. Your nervous system knows what your mind rationalizes away. Learning its language is one of the most empowering skills you can develop for authentic living. Let's jump into meal timing as self-respect. So I would honestly, I'd regularly go 16 hours without eating. It's crazy now when I think about it. Calling it intermittent fasting, while I was really just prioritizing everyone and everything else above my own basic needs. By 3 p.m. I'd be anxious, irritable, reaching for a quick fix. Does that sound familiar? After my adrenal crisis revealed how meal skipping had literally dysregulated my entire system, I learned meal timing isn't about nutrition, it's about self-respect. Personally, growing up learning that my needs came last, I normalized eating when it was convenient rather than when it was needed. Standing over my sink or in my car between appointments or late at night after everyone else was sorted. My erratic eating perfectly mirrored my boundary health. What I discovered transformed my relationship with food, more importantly, with myself. How we nourish ourselves reflects how we value ourselves. Skipping meals signals self-abandonment to your body. Erratic eating creates nervous system chaos, and consistent nourishment builds biological trust. I call it the skip, crash, crave cycle. Morning meals bypassed for productivity, lunch skipped while helping others, late dinner eaten standing up. Cravings hit hardest when you're depleted, and your metabolic chaos mirrors your boundary chaos. When skipped meals really communicate, what they really communicate beyond nutrition is that your needs aren't a priority. Others' time is valued over your nourishment. Productivity gets ahead of physical care. Self-care is seen as selfish or weak, and basic survival needs are dismissed as optional. The connection between blood sugar and emotional regulation is profound. Glucose crashes trigger fight-flight response. Hypoglycemia mimics anxiety symptoms. Poor meal timing destabilizes mood. Metabolic stability enables clear boundaries. Consistent eating builds emotional resistance. And the transformation came when I started treating meals as non-negotiable appointments with myself. I established calendar blocks for eating. I began declining meetings that overlapped with my meal times. I prepared food with loving attention rather than a rushed obligation. I practiced eating without multitasking, created a full stop between meals and the next activity. What changed everything about meal timing was recognizing that my body learns whether it can trust me by how consistently I nourish it. Regular meals signal safety to my nervous system. Meal disruptions communicate chaos, and food timing reflects how I prioritize my needs. Trust actually builds with each honored meal. Your relationship with food isn't just about what you eat. It's about how consistently you honor your body's most basic needs. And moving on to part 5, gut feelings, they're not just metaphors. They are digestive, emotional connection. Every time I suppressed my feelings, my stomach would revolt. The gut feelings everyone talked about, they weren't metaphors. They were literally my second brain trying to communicate what my body refused to acknowledge. After years of digestive issues that conventional medicine just couldn't explain, I discovered the profound truth. Your gut isn't just processing food, it's processing your entire emotional experience. Growing up, learning to swallow my words to keep peace, I'd effectively taught my gut to digest emotions instead of expressing them. The result was chronic inflammation, IBS, and a digestive system that mirrored my emotional suppression patterns. The science here is fascinating. Your gut contains 500 million neurons, more than in your spinal cord. It produces 90% of your serotonin, the neurotransmitter associated with well-being. The vagus nerve creates a direct communication highway between your gut and your brain. And your microbiome directly affects mood regulation. Your digestive tract literally has its own independent nervous system. And think about that. So this isn't metaphorical, it's literally physiological. Emotions create direct physical realities in your digestive system, and anxiety triggers increased stomach acid production. Suppressed anger creates intestinal tension, and unexpressed grief impacts gut mobility. Fear actually reduces digestive enzyme secretion, and joy promotes beneficial bacteria growth. These common gut sensations have specific emotional correlations. Butterflies in your stomach represent nervous system activation. Gut-wrenching feelings signal grief processing. Gut instincts are vagal safety assessments, and stomach in knots indicates anxiety manifestation. Gut feelings are intuitive boundary detection. The healing connection works both ways. Gut health affects emotional regulation, and emotional expression improves gut digestion. Practices like breath work enhance gut function, and boundary setting reduces gut inflammation. Authentic expression prevents physical buildup. The breakthrough came when I started treating digestive systems as emotional communication. I developed practical emotional digestion practices, naming feelings before eating, expressing emotions rather than swallowing, using breath to calm my gut during stress, and practicing mindful eating with presence and properly chewing while processing feelings. I also began tracking the connection, noticing gut sensations during emotional experiences and tracking digestive changes with stress levels. I began practicing speaking truth to ease stomach tension and using belly breath for emotional processing. Your gut feelings deserve the same respect as your mental insights. They're not random sensations, but sophisticated communications from your body's intelligence. So we've journeyed through reclaiming pre-digital connection, understanding relationship inflammation, recognizing nervous system signals, honoring meal timing and self-respect, and embracing the gut emotion connection, all different facets of the same truth that your body is constantly communicating wisdom if you're willing to listen. When I look back at who I was before my health crisis, the person who couldn't sit through a movie without checking his phone, who ignored joint pain after difficult conversations, who pushed through gut contractions in toxic situations, who skipped meals to help others, who dismissed digestive issues as random anxiety, I feel such compassion. I did the best I could with the tools I had, and that's what I want to leave you with today. Compassion for wherever you are in this journey of reclaiming connection with your authentic self.